Am I dreaming? What's going on, Canes fans? What a night. What a night. I want you guys to think about something. I realize that we played the RedHawks. Trust me, I understand that it was a MAC team. But we're sitting in the W column. And there are multiple college football teams that have already been delivered their first loss of the season. They're sitting there thinking, oh no. After all this prep, we just knew that we were going to be good. And now we're starting out the season 0-1. What are we going to do? Fan bases that are already hitting the panic button. And here are the Miami Hurricanes, sitting back watching it all unfold at 1-0. We're undefeated. Real talk, we are. I mean, it's one game, but we're undefeated. We haven't lost a game yet. Now, what this is it's a quick initial reaction of the game. I'm going to kind of give my initial thoughts and impressions, and then we'll also talk about both positives and negatives because not everything was good. And then we'll also end with taking a look at some stats from the game. So overall, if you want me to be just completely honest and blunt here, I'm actually pretty happy. You know, I'm taking into account that this was just the RedHawks, but I'm feeling pretty good. And one of the biggest reasons why is because if we were playing this team with last year's coaching staff and team, we would have been down 14-3 at the end of the first quarter, and that's just facts. And let's go ahead and kick this thing off with some of the positive things first. And one of the very first things I noticed was the sense of urgency this team had, both offensively and defensively, and it was from the very start of the game. We didn't have to go down and then try to fight back. Literally from kickoff, we received. Remember, guys, we received and we scored a touchdown. We drove down the field and we put it in the end zone. Unbelievable. And this next statement is the one that really makes me feel like I'm dreaming. I had to look at these stats multiple times to convince myself that it was actually true. 4 different running backs ran the ball tonight. It is so refreshing to have depth in that position group, and each one of those guys that ran the ball tonight, I feel like could make an argument for the starting job. So it's just really awesome that we're able to rotate in fresh legs throughout the game at the running back position. That's something that could be very big for us later on in the season and be super helpful. There's also the fact that the RedHawks never scored a touchdown in this game. They literally got 1 field goal in the second quarter, and it was a 48-yarder. That's it. Our defense also forced a 3-and-out on the RedHawks' very first drive, and they held them to, listen to this, -3 yards rushing in the first half of the game. Those guys were playing fast, aggressive, and they were swarming to the ball. I'm really hoping that the defense can be a bright spot for us this season. So if we need to lean on those guys, we can count on them. And our guy, Andy Borregales, was 3 for 3 on his field goals tonight, and it was raining for most of the game. Let's never forget the importance of special teams, and Borregales was 100% tonight. Speaking on something that was a positive but also just very interesting, we got to see quarterback Emory Williams take the field. He actually ended up going 3 for 3 tonight. We'll take a closer look at the stats here in a few minutes. But this is something that's going to create some debates in the coming days and weeks, but we're not going to focus too much on that tonight. But Emory, I don't know if we can say jumping Jakari, but when we had a chance in garbage time to play another quarterback, they chose Emory Williams over Jakari. And we've argued that, it's possible that Emory Williams, even though he's young, is a better fit for this offense over Jakari. This isn't about playing favorites. I root for all the guys that rep the orange and green. The only thing that Emory really has going against him was just him being young, being a freshman, not having, play time under his belt at the college level. And now he's already got a small amount, but he does have some experience at the college level now already. And he came out slinging it. But again, we'll talk more about that and the quarterback stuff in some later videos. No big injuries. Heck, really not many at all, if any at all. And after what we went through last season, that is a huge blessing. That's so big. We scored 22 unanswered points in the second half. I thought tackling overall was pretty decent. And Xavier Restrepo had that wild one-handed, really not even one-handed if you go back and look at the replay, one-armed catch. That was pretty freaking sick. He's still showing that he is one of the most sure-handed wide receivers in that group. And there were a lot of conversations going down in my live hangout during the game about Restrepo not being the fastest guy on the field, but he doesn't have to be. We have some speedsters. We have Brashard Smith and Ray Joseph and Tyler Harrell. We have those guys. Restrepo is that guy that if you throw the ball his way, he is going to fight for it, and he's most likely going to catch it. We need guys like him. But let's also not run from a few negative takeaways from this game, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. There's always some bad that comes along with the good. And one of the things that really stood out was penalties on the O-line. We had either 3 or 4 false start penalties tonight, and 1 or 2 of those was kind of at a critical moment, or it was in a point where it was first down and it pushed us back and made it a 1st and 15. That can't continue to happen this season. Now, what I'm hoping, let's keep in mind that it was game number 1 and it's a new offense. So hopefully that gets cleaned up ASAP. 3 for 7 on 3rd downs. That must be better. Whenever we play tougher opponents, it's going to be very tough to win those games with those types of numbers. Now, TVD did get picked off in the second quarter, but it was his only interception of the game. And he had a guy open, but it just kind of floated on him. And I don't really know what happened there. I mean, it was raining. Maybe the ball slipped, or maybe it was just a bad ball in general. I don't know, but Tyler did have 1 interception. And I was a little confused by some of the 3rd down calls where we kept going horizontal instead of vertical. But, it seems like our identity on offense might be to just get the ball out quick with some short passes and then trusting our playmakers to get upfield, which we saw multiple times tonight. I mean, there were a lot of yards picked up after the catch. It was a big-time yak game. And if that is, in fact, going to be our identity, I'm A-okay with that as long as we can execute it effectively and we're consistently picking up positive yardage. That doesn't mean that we're not going to take deep shots, but I am going to be kind of curious to see how this offense continues to evolve and change throughout the season. Because, again, at the end of the day, this was the RedHawks. I don't necessarily think that we were trying to hide things or keep it vanilla. I could be wrong on that, but also it was raining. So there are a lot of factors. Game number one, all that stuff. But if our identity is quick, short passes, picking up that yak, then I'm cool with it. I'm fine. And what we're going to do to wrap this thing up is we're going to jump over to ESPN.com and take a quick look at the stats here. So, first downs, Miami Hurricanes 27. We're not going to look too much at the RedHawks. You can see it on the screen if you want to pause. We're focusing on the Canes. We're done with the RedHawks. We're moving on at this point. 27 first downs. Again, we already touched on 3 of 7 on third down efficiency. 493 total yards of offense. And as you guys already know, what's very interesting with these numbers is 243 of that is passing and 250 is rushing. A very successful day on the ground. Ended up with more rushing yards than passing yards. Penalties overall, 8 for 60. And again, around 4 or 5 of those is on the offensive line. So definitely have to clean that up. Turnovers 1, again, Tyler Van Dyke's pick. Taking a brief look here at the box score. TVD 17 of 22 for 201 yards and 1 touchdown pass, 1 pick. Emery 3 for 3 for 42. Yo, that man. I'm looking forward to seeing what that guy does in the future. I'm just going to be honest. Again, everyone getting some love in that running back room. Parrish, 9 for 90 yards and a touchdown. Parrish, I got to tell you something. It was wild because in the second quarter there, we had less than a minute to go. I think it was like 58 seconds, and we got that penalty. And I, on my stream, said, well, this drive is dead. It's done. And then Henry Parrish proceeds to rip off around a 38-yard run to put us in field goal position, which gave us an extra 3 points going into the tunnel. So that was huge. Big-time run from Henry Parrish right there. Fletcher, 9 for 76 and a touchdown. A.J. Allen, 9 for 47. And Chaney, 8 for 38 with 1 touchdown. Chaney started out a little rough. His first 2 carries were for 0 yards. But on that last one, man, he showed how much that he welcomes contact. And he just bull rushed his way into the end zone. I still think Chaney can have a bright future, man. Keep feeding that dude the ball. Colby Young led in receiving yards, 4 for 79. Gonna have to start calling this dude the Yak Man. Every time he got the ball, he made multiple guys miss. And rolling back a minute, can somebody check on that RedHawks player that had his ankles broken by Henry Parrish? I think he might still be back at Hard Rock on the field. Somebody needs to check on that dude. Get in contact with the family member somewhere or something. Somebody, please. Restrepo, 5 for 68. Jacoby George, 6 for 56. Riley Williams actually had a reception. That's really good to see. 1 for 18. Harrell, 1 for 14. Horton, 1 for 5. Ray, 1 for 3. And Brashard had 1, but didn't total any yards. Defensively, it takes a little while for these stats to update, so they might not be fully on here. Francisco led with total tackles and half a tackle for loss. I think we had a couple sacks here. Harvey had a sack. Basaint had a sack. That man shot out of there like a cannon. We had Washington with half. Ragone with half. And then what else do we have? Tackles for loss here. KJ Cloyd, Harvey, Basaint. You can pause it or go to ESPN if you need to look deeper. Dean with 1. But defensively, man, really freaking good game. With Borregales, 3 for 3 on the field goals, hit all of his extra points. And Dylan Joyce did okay. Freshman punter, 2 punts for 83 yards with a 41.5-yard average. That's something I really wanted to keep an eye on because special teams is super important to me. One of the things that I want to ask you guys to close this thing is just final thoughts on the game. Let me know how you're feeling. We know that it was the RedHawks. But I want you to know, I say this every year when we win a game, it's okay to celebrate, guys. We could very realistically be 0-1. There are teams that lost so far this week, and there's many more games to be played on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We're not 0-1. We're 1-0, and that's a good thing because you best believe, you know that if we had dropped this game, everybody would be clowning us on social media. So it does, in fact, work both ways. We can celebrate the win. And we're not acting like that the RedHawks are Alabama. We know that, but we're happy to be 1-0. So let's talk about something down in the comment section below. Let me know how you felt about the game. It's grind time, baby. This video probably went up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We got walking and venting tomorrow. Texas A&M preview coming up. More call-in shows with the $200 score prediction contest. Really fun times are happening on the channel this season, and I could not be more excited. Thank y'all for all the love you showed me during the live stream. You guys went off. It was a super fun time. Hopefully we get some more dubs coming up soon. Remember though, guys, we're all one big happy college football family, but at the end of the day, I gotta say, it's always better when you get to rep the U. Coach Coop, peace out. I'll see y'all in the next one.